New York City, a place of towering skyscrapers, relentless ambition, and unmatched global influence. From the Stock Exchange to Broadway, from Harlem's rhythms to Brooklyn's creativity, no city captures the imagination of the world like New York. But how did this bustling metropolis go from a humble Dutch trading post to the most iconic urban center on Earth? To understand how New York became the world's greatest city, we must journey back through centuries of transformation, of immigration, invention, crisis, and resilience. New York's story begins in 1624, when Dutch settlers of the Dutch West India Company landed at the southern tip of Manhattan Island. They named it New Amsterdam, a fledgling trading post positioned at the mouth of the Hudson River. This location, nestled between the Hudson and East Rivers, was more than picturesque. It was powerful. It allowed the Dutch to control shipping routes and trade with indigenous peoples and European markets alike. In 1664, the British captured the colony without a shot fired. In honor of the Duke of York, the city was renamed New York. Even in its infancy, this was a city defined by change. Throughout the 18th century, New York's deep harbor and protected ports made it an essential center for commerce. Even during the American Revolution, when the city suffered significant destruction, it remained valuable. By the end of the 1700s, New York had become the nation's financial heartbeat, hosting the first session of the United States Congress in 1789, where George Washington was sworn in as the first president. Its strategic geography, coupled with early infrastructure, would soon make New York indispensable to the young republic. In 1825, New York forever changed its fate with the construction of the Erie Canal, a man-made waterway connecting the Atlantic Ocean to the Great Lakes through the Hudson River. This canal turned New York into the essential trade hub between Europe and the American Midwest. Grain from Ohio, lumber from Michigan, and furs from Illinois all flowed through New York's ports. In just 15 years, the city's population doubled. By 1850, it had overtaken Philadelphia to become the largest city in the United States. The 19th and early 20th centuries brought a tidal wave of immigration. Between 1850 and 1920, over 12 million immigrants arrived through Ellis Island, located just south of Manhattan. They came fleeing famine, war, poverty, and persecution. For most, New York was the first, and often last, stop. The city absorbed these newcomers, often harshly, but gradually they wove themselves into the city's DNA. Italians in Little Italy, Irish in Hell's Kitchen, Jews on the Lower East Side. Their stories are the city's story. They dug its tunnels, laid its bricks, opened shops, and filled tenements with dreams. At the dawn of the 20th century, New York faced a new challenge. Space? The solution? Build up. New advances in steel and elevators sparked the skyscraper boom. In 1913, the Woolworth Building was dubbed the Cathedral of Commerce. In 1931, the Empire State Building rose 102 stories into the sky, finished ahead of schedule and under budget during the height of the Great Depression. The skyline became a symbol of ambition. Meanwhile, below, the New York Stock Exchange cemented the city as the world's financial capital. New York's cultural explosion is unlike any the world has seen. In the 1920s, Harlem birthed the Harlem Renaissance, a dazzling outpouring of Black artistic expression, jazz, literature, dance, and more. As time passed, movements emerged: abstract expressionism in the 1950s, punk in the 1970s at CBGB, and hip-hop from the Bronx. Museums like the Met, MoMA, and the Guggenheim showcased human creativity on a global scale. New York was no longer just a financial titan. It was the cultural heart of the modern world. But even the greatest city isn't immune to hardship. By the 1970s, New York faced decay. The city teetered on the brink of bankruptcy in 1975. Crime soared. The subway was covered in graffiti, and whole neighborhoods felt abandoned. Many predicted New York's collapse. President Ford famously refused to offer a bailout, prompting the iconic Daily News headline, "Ford to City, Drop Dead." Yet even then, artists, activists, and everyday New Yorkers never gave up on their city. Slowly, New York fought its way back. New leadership, both civic and grassroots, ushered in reforms. In the 1980s and 90s, the crime rate began to fall dramatically. Times Square was cleaned up, investment returned, cranes filled the skyline once more. The city became safer, more livable, and more expensive. By the end of the 20th century, New York had reinvented itself again. Then came September 11th, 2001, a wound to the heart of the city. The attacks on the World Trade Center claimed nearly 3,000 lives and changed the global order. Yet amid the horror emerged a staggering spirit of resilience. First responders, volunteers, neighbors, all came together in defiance of despair. Out of the ashes rose one World Trade Center, symbolizing the city's indomitable will to endure and rebuild. Today, New York is home to over 8 million people from more than 180 countries. It is a place where over 200 languages are spoken every day. It is home to the United Nations, to tech startups, Broadway theaters, global banks, Michelin-starred restaurants, and street vendors alike. It's featured in more songs, films, and books than any city in history. It doesn't just reflect the world, it projects it. What makes New York great isn't just its skyline, or its wealth, or its art. It's the people. It's the constant reinvention, the energy, the defiance, the belief that tomorrow can be better. It's a place where the world comes to dream, and to make those dreams real. That is how New York became, and remains, the world's greatest city. The Erie Canal, forging a commercial empire. In the early 19th century, New York City was a burgeoning port, yet it lagged behind rivals like Philadelphia and New Orleans in commercial prominence. The completion of the Erie Canal in 1825 dramatically altered this dynamic. Spanning 363 miles, the canal connected the Hudson River to Lake Erie, creating a direct water route from the Atlantic Ocean to the Great Lakes. This engineering marvel reduced transportation costs by 90% and cut shipping time from Buffalo to New York City from 3 weeks to 8 days. The canal's impact was profound. It transformed New York City into the nation's premier port and commercial hub, surpassing other major cities in trade volume. the influx of goods and people spurred economic growth, leading to a population boom and the rise of manufacturing industries along the canal's route. By 1830, New York had become the largest port in America, a testament to the canal's significance. Beyond commerce, the Erie Canal played a pivotal role in shaping the nation's identity. It facilitated westward expansion, enabled the movement of people and ideas, and contributed to social movements such as abolitionism and women's rights. Today, the canal stands as a symbol of American ingenuity and ambition. Ellis Island, the gateway to the American dream. While the Erie Canal bolstered New York's economic stature, Ellis Island became synonymous with the city's role as a beacon for immigrants seeking a new life. Opened in 1892, Ellis Island served as the nation's busiest immigration station, processing over 12 million immigrants until its closure in 1954. Located in New York Harbor, the island was often the first glimpse of America for newcomers, symbolizing hope and opportunity. The immigration process at Ellis Island was both rigorous and swift. On peak days, over 5,000 individuals passed through its halls, undergoing medical and legal inspections. Despite the challenges, only about 2% were denied entry, reflecting the nation's openness during that era. The diverse influx of immigrants enriched New York's cultural tapestry. Neighborhoods like Little Italy, Chinatown, and the Lower East Side became melting pots of languages, traditions, and cuisines. These communities laid the foundation for the city's multicultural identity, contributing to its vibrancy and resilience. However, Ellis Island's history also includes periods of adversity. During the World Wars, the island functioned as a detention center, highlighting the complexities of immigration policies. Despite these challenges, the legacy of Ellis Island endures as a testament to the dreams and determination of those who passed through its gates. September 11, a city scarred, a city united. On the clear blue morning of September 11, 2001, New York City was forever changed. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 17 minutes later, United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. At 9:37 a.m., another plane, American Airlines Flight 77, hit the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. A fourth hijacked plane, United Airlines Flight 93, crashed in a field in Pennsylvania after passengers heroically fought back. The attacks were orchestrated by the terrorist group Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives that day. Among them, firefighters, police officers, office workers, and passengers. It remains the deadliest terrorist attack in world history. As the Twin Towers collapsed, Lower Manhattan became a scene of devastation, smoke, and ash. First responders, firefighters, EMTs, and police ran toward danger, many sacrificing their lives to save others. Yet, in the heart of tragedy, the city's resilience emerged. New Yorkers opened their doors, shared resources, and stood in solidarity. Blood donation lines wrapped around city blocks. Vigils filled public spaces. The entire world watched as a wounded city refused to fall. In the aftermath, the recovery effort lasted for months. The cleanup of Ground Zero was a monumental task, and the emotional toll on survivors and responders continues to this day. In 2014, One World Trade Center opened, a 1,776-foot-tall symbol of hope and rebirth. At its base lies the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, where the names of every victim are etched in bronze around two enormous reflecting pools set in the footprints of the fallen towers.